There was a time when taking a photo felt like a small risk. You couldn't see the result right away. You couldn't fix it. You couldn't delete it. You pressed the button and just hoped it worked. And then you waited, sometimes for hours, sometimes for days. That waiting created tension. It made every photo feel important. But here's the part most people forget. There was an entire industry built on that waiting. Millions of people depended on it. It was everywhere, easy to find, and completely normal. And then, in what feels like a very short time, it almost completely disappeared. So what really happened to photo development labs? And why did something so common become so rare? To understand this, you have to imagine how photography worked before the digital world. Cameras didn't store images as files. They used film, small rolls hidden inside the camera. Every time you took a picture, light hit the film and created a hidden image. But you couldn't see it yet. It stayed invisible until it was processed. That's where photo development labs came in. These labs were everywhere. You could find them inside grocery stores, shopping malls, and small neighborhood shops. Bright signs promised fast service, often advertising 1-hour photo. At the time, that felt incredibly fast. People would walk in, hand over a small roll of film, and leave with nothing but a receipt. Then came the waiting. And the waiting was part of the experience. People would think about their photos while they waited. Did the vacation shots turn out well? Did someone blink? Was the lighting good? There was always uncertainty, and that uncertainty made the moment of picking up the photos exciting. When you finally returned, you received a small envelope. Inside were printed pictures, real physical objects you could hold in your hands. People often opened the envelope right there at the counter. Some photos were perfect. Others were blurry, too dark, or poorly framed. But that mix of success and failure made it feel real. Photo development labs were not just service points. They were part of everyday life. Families visited them after holidays. Parents brought in rolls from birthdays and school events. Travelers came back with dozens of rolls after long trips. These labs handled people's memories. Not digital files, actual memories printed on paper. Behind the scenes, the process was much more complicated than it seemed. Film had to go through several chemical steps. First, it was developed using special liquids that revealed the hidden image. Then it was fixed, washed, and dried. After that, machines printed each image onto photo paper. The prints were then cut, sorted, and packed into envelopes. This required expensive machines, constant maintenance, and trained workers who knew how to handle the chemicals and equipment. It was not something most people could do at home. That's why these labs were so important. They were the only way to turn a hidden image into something visible. For many years, this system worked perfectly. It was stable. It was trusted. It didn't feel outdated. In fact, most people didn't even think about alternatives. Then digital cameras started to appear. At first, they didn't seem like a real threat. Early digital cameras were expensive, and the image quality was often worse than film. Photos looked less sharp, colors were not as rich, and storage was limited. Many people ignored them and continued using film. But digital technology improved quickly. Cameras became smaller, cheaper, and easier to use. Image quality improved, storage capacity increased, and most importantly, you could see your photo immediately after taking it. That one feature changed everything. Instant feedback removed the need for waiting. People no longer had to guess if a photo turned out well. They could check it instantly and take another one if needed. This changed how people behaved. Instead of carefully choosing each shot, they started taking many photos without thinking. The cost of making a mistake dropped to zero. At this point, photo development labs began to lose customers. Slowly at first, but the trend was clear. Then came the next wave, The real turning point. Smartphones. When phones started to include cameras, photography became constant. People didn't need to carry a separate device anymore. The camera was always in their pocket. And as phone cameras improved, they became good enough for everyday use. Now the process was instant from start to finish. You took a photo, looked at it immediately, edited it if needed, and shared it with others in seconds. No waiting, no printing, no physical storage. The idea of going to a lab started to feel unnecessary. Why leave your house and pay for prints when everything you need is already on your phone? Why wait even an hour when you can see your photo instantly? Convenience and speed completely changed expectations. Photo development labs tried to adapt. Many added digital printing kiosks where customers could print photos directly from memory cards or USB drives. Some expanded into photo books, calendars, and personalized gifts. Others focused on professional services. But these changes were not enough. The core of their business, developing film, was disappearing. Fewer people were buying film. Fewer cameras used it. The demand dropped year after year, while the cost of maintaining equipment and space stayed high. Large chains began to struggle. Smaller independent labs closed even faster. Locations that once processed hundreds of rolls every day suddenly had almost no customers. Within a relatively short period, an entire industry shrank to a fraction of its former size. But technology is only part of the story. There was also a shift in how people value photos. In the past, photos were limited. You had a fixed number of shots on a roll of film, so you chose them carefully. Each photo had meaning. People printed them, stored them in albums, and looked at them again and again over the years. Today, photos are almost unlimited. People take hundreds or even thousands of images, many of which are never seen again. They stay on phones or in cloud storage, quickly forgotten. When something becomes easy and unlimited, it often becomes less valuable. Photo development labs were built for a world where photos were rare and meaningful. That world changed. Today, a small number of labs still exist. They serve photographers who prefer film for its unique look and process. For these people, photography is not just about the result, but also about the experience. The waiting, the uncertainty, and the physical print all add value. But for most people, that experience is no longer necessary. The fall of photo development labs was not caused by one single invention. It was the result of multiple changes happening at the same time. Digital cameras removed the delay, smartphones made photography constant, the internet made sharing instant, and together they made physical photo processing almost irrelevant. What makes this story interesting is how quiet the disappearance was. There was no single moment when everything stopped. No big announcement, no clear ending, just a steady decline, year after year, until one day most of these labs were gone. And many people didn't even notice. That's how entire industries disappear. Not with noise, but with silence. Habits change, technology improves, expectations shift, and something that once felt essential slowly fades away. Photo development labs didn't fail because they were useless. They failed because the world around them changed faster than they could adapt. And if you look closely, the same pattern is happening again, right now, with other industries that seem just as normal today.